I'm glad you all could come today. A few words I want to speak about what is the path of no way, if I may. It almost seems like a conflict in a sense. What is a path, and then it has no way to it. So let's go into what does it mean. A path is often seen as a particular linear way of doing something. And also a path is this, a movement. The no way describes, there's no prescribed way. That is, it's not an A, B, C. Here's what you do, here's what you do next, and so forth. It means that there is a movement in us, through us, that begins to show us our own path, but it's not a path that's given in advance. This path you can only look about afterwards. In the middle of it, you can talk about what it feels like, and later you can talk about what it was, but you can't say in advance what it will be. So it's a present and future-oriented process, not a past experience. Because when I've seen the whole thing, that's the way it was for me. Now this means what? This means there needs to be some way of finding this path. Now here's our experience with the years. That this movement in us is the self as a spiritual phenomenon passing through us. This means that in our lives, as we come into this planet, if you will, there's no prescribed thing we have to do, but there begins to be influences, and how we describe it is like this. If you look at a field, we call the universal field of consciousness, for short, means there's a large field, an impersonal field, that understands all that's going on. Think of nature, for example. How does nature know what to do? How do people on the planet, there's over 500 languages we know about, despite all the terrorists and all the disasters of the world, flooding and so forth, still nature and all these people somehow manage to be together. The question here is, who knows what about it? How do things know to do what they do? Our answer is they're all in relationship to each other. Now this corresponds in communications to what's called a transponder. A transponder is a very practical thing used in communication. The word comes from transmission and response. When you send something out, automatically you get a response backwards. We're suggesting the universal field is that process. Who you are, what you do, what you have to do is not a prescribed thing, A, B, C, but it's a field of potential. Now in that field, we are always given life messages. You'll often notice, for example, when you get a certain disease or when you have a car accident, we tend to put these things always as a separate, unconnected event. But we also know from physics the butterfly effect. That is, the influence of any one part, even a butterfly movement, can create a storm over here through consequences. You know yourself, get up in the morning, you're 2 minutes late. Someone else is in the bathroom. You don't get to do what you have to do, which means you're 5 minutes late to the bus stop. The bus has left. Now I got to take a train. I got to take a taxi to the train, and you wind up through a series of events losing your job maybe because you're late. Again. The 2 minutes over here causes a major effect over here. We're suggesting it's also a very important thing about physics. We're all connected. Quantum physics says exactly the same thing. We're suggesting spiritually and in the physics of it all, we're all connected.